Alright, if you've watched CNN, Fox News, YouTube, TikTok, read any kind of headlines, you've probably heard that the real estate market is about to crash. And if you own a home in Jonesboro, Paragould, Brooklyn, surrounding cities, that can be kind of scary. So today I want to answer one question. Is the Jonesboro housing market really about to crash? Because what I'm seeing here, working with buyers and sellers every single day in Northeast Arkansas, doesn't always match the headlines. What's up, everybody? My name's Talon. I am a local real estate agent here in Northeast Arkansas, serving communities like Paragould, Brooklyn, Jonesboro, surrounding cities. So if you have been thinking about making a move, selling a home, want to talk about investment strategies, hit me up. All my info is down below and I'd love to get connected. All right, so I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. They hear one national headline and immediately assume that this applies to Jonesboro, Paragould, Bono, Brooklyn, all of our little cities here in Northeast Arkansas, when real estate has always been a local game. So I want to start with what a crash actually looks like. Most people use the word crash anytime it takes a little bit longer than 3 days to sell a home. That is not a crash, folks. A crash is something very different. Most of us probably remember 2008. This is where lending standards just dipped and went out the window, and adjustable rate loans started changing, and a lot of things were happening in the market as a whole. People were buying homes that they couldn't afford, and there was massive foreclosures happening. Banks were flooding the market, and prices were falling because supply exploded. That is what a crash looks like. So let's compare that to today. This is actually what I'm seeing every week. I've noticed homes sitting on the market a little bit longer, but that doesn't always mean something negative is happening. 3 years ago, look, you could just practically put a sign in the yard, get the listing agreement done, and before the ink even dried, the home already had like 3 offers. Today, look folks, that's just simply not reality. In today's market, buyers schedule more showings. They're going and looking at more competition, and they negotiate harder, and they ask for a bunch of repairs often. And some buyers just, quite frankly, walk away if something feels off. And if you want to learn how to fix that gap, I've got a really great strategy we've been implementing with our sellers. It's got a 100% success rate. It is amazing. Message me for more details on that. And yes, I understand that feels shocking, right? But it's only because sellers got spoiled a few years ago when interest rates were just historically low. Let me talk about why the market feels way worse than what it is. And I'm going to mention a couple different points, so bear with me. The first one is obviously interest rates. Not because people can't afford to buy a home, but because payments have changed. I mean, you take just an average $300,000 house, one with a 2.5% interest and the next one with a 6.5% interest, your payment is dramatically changing on that. Some people just simply can't afford the new payment. Don't even get me started on the people that have a great rate with a big home and they want to go downsize. Well, by the time they sell the big home and buy the smaller home payment is actually the same, if not more than the big home, all because of interest rates. And because of interest rates, buyers qualify for less of a purchase price, meaning there's less $300,000 buyers in Paragould and Jonesboro and Brooklyn than there were a few years back because more people could afford that monthly payment. The next point is just simply affordability. Even if prices haven't fallen much, people still just simply feel poorer than what they did a few years back. And that changes buyer psychology when shopping for homes. The next point here is inventory. Now we aren't limited to 1 or 2 houses in this area. Now inventory is something that's rising, therefore we can be a little bit more picky with what we're buying. Instead of 5 homes to pick from in their price range, buyers now have 20. Therefore, you have to make sure you're beating your competition. That doesn't mean demand has disintegrated. It just means that sellers have competition again. And the last one really is something that's really hard to overcome, which is buyer confidence. So many people just don't understand the economy, politics, and interest rates as a whole. Therefore, they are very reluctant to ever make a move or buy a home because they just simply don't understand how any of it works. People hate uncertainty. If they think prices might drop, then many will wait, even if waiting costs them money. And here's something that nobody talks about. And I might catch some slack from this from you sellers sellers here in Northeast Arkansas, but a slower market usually exposes overpriced properties. In 2020, 2021, an overpriced home, you would never tell it because it had multiple offers in a couple days. You listed overpriced, but the market covered your mistake. Today, the market actually tells the truth. Homes priced correctly, they still sell with multiple offers, but homes that are priced incorrectly usually sit on the market longer than what you anticipated. But let me tell you who should be paying attention to the Northeast Arkansas real estate market. Sellers need realistic pricing strategies. They don't just need some professional photographer to come in and catfish somebody. Your home presentation matters. Marketing truly does pay dividends. And here's the reality, you don't get unlimited chances. If you're a buyer in Northeast Arkansas, this is powerful because you have a little bit more leverage. You have more negotiating power. You have less competition. You can get major concessions paid for. This is actually a better buying inventory than most people think. I've watched people get some amazing deals in this market compared to whenever interest rates were really low. And of course, investors, they need to buy based on the numbers, not just appreciation. Cash flow matters again in this market. And now look, if you're a homeowner and if you're staying in the house for another 7 to 10 years, you probably shouldn't lose sleep over every headline you see. All right, so let me talk about my prediction real quick. And by no means am I trying to pretend like I'm a perfect economic person that understands everything and can predict the future perfectly. I do not have a crystal ball. But here's what I'm actually watching. I'm watching inventory. I'm watching days on market. I'm seeing price reductions and employment. I'm looking at the new construction sitting on the market a little bit longer, interest rates. As a whole, how many people are moving to Northeast Arkansas? Look, here's the reality. As long as people have jobs, lending stays healthy, and we're not seeing massive foreclosures, I personally view this as a normalization, not a collapse. So as I wrap this video up, here's something I want to leave you with. I think the biggest mistake that people can make right now in this market is making a huge financial decision based on a national headline that may or may not even be relevant to you. Could prices soften in some neighborhoods? Yes, absolutely. Could some homes lose value? Duh. But that's very different than saying that Jonesboro housing market as a whole or Northeast Arkansas is crashing. So this is what I want to leave you with. I analyze homes in Northeast Arkansas every single day and talk to hundreds of homeowners every single week. And so if you've been curious about how much equity might be in your home, or perhaps would it make sense for you to capitalize now or wait for another few years until the market shifts a little bit, if you want answers to these questions for your specific circumstances, I'm going to leave a link to my website where you can book a one-on-one call with me and let's have a personalized conversation about what potentially buying or selling in this market might look like for you. Again, my name's Talon. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, click subscribe for more videos like this, and we will see you in the next video.